Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to our 5% Club podcast, where we're going to have an exclusive Meet the Team at Gazeal, the people hidden behind the technology that works with all of our agents. And we thought it'd be really good to have a chat to introduce you to everybody. But we're actually going to have a bit of a conversation today about Gazeal, the emotion around agreements, how we've gone about this, and generally just give you a chance to meet a few of the people. So we hope you find this interesting. So let's start off with introducing each other, or introducing yourselves, because I know who you are, I should say. Whoever wants to go first, go first.
Yeah, sure. Hi all, I'm Bryan Mansell. I work for Gazeal, and I am a reservation specialist here with the rest of the team.
Yeah, we all know you work for Gazeal, so by the fact that you're on here in the team at Gazeal, that's a pretty obvious one.
I like long walks on
Just
the
thought I'd be clear.
Good.
Me.
Surely.
Yeah, I'll go next. So hi, I'm Megan. I'm a reservation specialist here at Gazeal. I've been working here for about 4 years now. Can you believe?
I didn't.
Not less for murder. No. But yeah, no, really enjoy it. I love the team. So yeah, it's great.
Hi, I'm Bonita. I've just had my first work anniversary with Gazeal. So I'm at the company for a year, so very fresh and new. Absolutely loving it. I'm also a reservation specialist, if I may call myself that. That's me.
You call yourself whatever you like, you know. I mean, job titles don't mean much these days, do they? I mean, I don't know how, anyone, you read stuff on LinkedIn and no one knows what anyone does anymore. I empower sheep, whatever it is, I don't know.
I might start putting CEO on mine then.
We need to
Put whatever
that's
you
the agent that
can't
you're
using
someone
an
that-
NS, right? We literally
I
are
mean-
a team.
I watched The Wolf of Wall Street again last night. Louis and I watched a bit of that, and it was funny because they all call themselves senior vice presidents.
Yeah.
Which I think is hilarious. So look, let's talk about what do you love about, I mean, because we talk about this internally, don't we, about how this doesn't feel like work because of what we're doing and how many people we're helping, and we help quite a lot of people, the public and the agents and everybody else. But what do you love about what you do with reservations? Because, of course, we brought this in a number of years ago. You know, it was something that I brought in to try something new in the industry to try to help people move, and then everybody else benefits from that. And it was very unknown. It was a new category. And we've sort of had over 400 changes we've made to the business structure and the process and the agreements over the time. But I think it's safe to say where we are now, you know, we're kind of not quite a household name, but we're getting there. And you all know the results have been phenomenal. We're helping more and more people every month, which really warms my heart. But what do you enjoy about what you do?
Well, I'll go first. I think, the key to loving what you do is making a difference. So I think that's the main thing what we do is make a difference to people's lives. We help them with the sale. The whole point is to try and make it an enjoyable experience. Just because it has been, rubbish and hard to deal with in the past doesn't mean it needs to continue to be. So I think being a part of a change for me is a really big thing. We're not just here to pick up a paycheck and clock off at 5. We're actually making a difference continuously. And I think as well, the thing that I love the most is working with this team. So hardworking, so selfless, we'll do anything for anyone. So I think when you've got a good team behind you, it makes things so much easier.
Have you practiced that?
I haven't actually. I didn't practice that. And that's actually really good. I'll be
That was really good.
the face of the podcast.
I'm not sat here like I have no idea what to say.
Yeah, try and follow up on that, Louis. Go on, try. No.
Well done.
Come on, Louis, you go then.
Well, for me, I was going to say very similar to Megan. However, following that, fantastic little comment there, I'm going to go with I love to hear the people that really want this and that have the success out of it. They get the security and they know that going forward that they have the confidence to go about what they need to do in the conveyancing process without the concern that the other party is going to disappear one day or back out and walk away and never be heard from again. There is consequence involved, and the success stories that come from that, for me, I like to hear about it. I like to see it. I like to know that we've helped people or given someone some comfort somewhere. Because in a world where it's always full of negative news and, this, that, and the other, and you turn on the news in the morning and it just puts you in a bad mood, knowing that you're making a difference in people's lives and helping someone in some small way that you can have an impact, for me, makes me wake up in the morning and, keep going and constantly keep doing it. But on the other side of that, I do also, the success stories are brilliant, but on the other cuff, the things when it goes wrong, finding out the solutions to the problems gives me a kick. You know, if there is an issue with something, I like being a problem solver. I like fixing things. So, you know, that keeps me busy on a day-to-day basis. And there is always with technology a plethora of things that can go wrong. So
Yep.
it's just
No
trying
2
to
days are the same. No 2 days are the same.
yeah, trying to navigate through that. It keeps it exciting.
Good. Yeah, I think one thing we've all definitely learned is technology is a pain in the ass, right?
Yeah, 100%.
God, who knew, right? What was it someone said to me the other day, which is absolutely true. Whatever you're told by the tech people, add 3 months and triple the cost, right? It's absolutely true. That's so true. And Bonita, what about you, my darling? What do you enjoy about it all?
Well, for me, it's walking the journey with them. The minute that both parties have signed, for instance, then either party will automatically tell you, whew, I feel so much better. I can now just focus on the sale of my house and not the commitment that might not have been there. So for me, it's the journey and that midway check-ins and asking them, how are things going? And you can very soon pick up that, oh, things are not going well. And, you know, for me, it's about serving and helping. If anything, I will always try and walk that extra mile. And that's where the team backs me up as well. I feel like at any time when I can ask somebody a question, they're always there for me. It's about the journey, walking the journey with your customer until the very end and making sure everything goes right. And if it doesn't, it's not the end of the world because there's a backup. We've got a backup with the agreement and we see how we can help and serve and be better versions of ourselves, you know, the very next day, learn from yesterday as well.
Yeah, it's a really good point actually about that because I remember when we started Gazeal and it was just literally me on the phone every day. You know, you begin to I very quickly learned that actually this is quite a positive emotional experience for people. I remember, I will always remember till my last day, the first one we ever did back in 2019, 2020, whenever it was, and how those people who were the first, they didn't know they were the first, but actually they were the first in Maidstone and how they actually felt when it was done. And I remember thinking at the end of that, this has got legs. This is something this is too important not to stop. This is too important not to we mustn't give up on this because I've just experienced something quite unique by hearing two people say, oh, thank you so much. You know, we were really worried. We had a problem with our sale before. We feel so much better. And those comments all those years ago were enough for me, with the enough fuel for me to go, right, we're gonna make this work. We're gonna keep going, no matter it's gonna be a hard road, but we're gonna keep going on this. We're gonna keep persuading people that this is the right thing to do. Because I tell you now, there's a lot of people that go, it won't work because of this. And a lot of estate agents, that won't work. They won't work because he's gonna not like that. And everybody thinks they know, they have an opinion. And actually, most of them, they're all wrong. Most of them are wrong. And we've proven that. So let's just talk about that from your own experiences, memorable moments from an emotional perspective, really, from customers you've spoken to. And I'm not talking about estate agents necessarily. I'm talking about sellers and buyers because you all three, you know, talk to sellers and buyers every day. What any standout moments you want to share?
For me personally, I think it's just a general fear of the unknown. You know, they hear reservation agreement and they're just not entirely sure what it includes. And once they've had a human conversation with us, not through a live chat, not through an AI conversation, once they've had a chat with us, 9 times out of 10, they are so open to entering into it because they realise it's only there to help them. So I think sometimes it just needs that human touch just to guide them through and show that we're not here, you know, just to take your money and run. You know, we're not here, you know, just to, you know, what we're actually here to do is to help them. And I think once we let them know that, it's a much easier conversation and a much better experience for them.
Yeah, for me, I mean, just touching on that point about the human sort of element of it, there is, I think it was about 2 years into working with Gazeal that I had a conversation with a woman called Jennifer Lopez. And
Jennifer Lopez.
She was the first. She was about 91 years old, so I can confirm it wasn't the famous one. But I remember she gave me a call. She had my number. I'd put a reservation agreement in place for her with one of the estate agents that works with us. And I think it was about a month and a half, 2 months into her sale, and she picked up the phone and gave me a call because nobody else would answer the phone to her. And she was really concerned about what was going on. She didn't know, any progress had been made, didn't have any updates, and really just called me because she had remembered my number. I was something to do with the sale of her property and wanted some help. And I remember speaking to her for probably about 2 hours and just saying sort of what I had, the information that I had, and confirming to her that I'll go away, see if I can pick up with the agent and get some updates for her and come back and give her some more updates. And at the end of the call, I remember we were talking about how she should put her feet up, get a gin and tonic, relax, because, you know, I'll be there to help and I'll give her the updates and she can just sit there and wait for me to give her a call back and provide all the updates if she can. And the thankfulness that she gave over the phone and how nice she was about it, and just the fact that somebody had answered her call and given her some support in some sense, you know, even if it wasn't absolutely everything she wanted to know, it was just a bit, just to give her a bit of confirmation that there's someone there helping. For me, will always sit with me. And that really meant a lot to me. Just having that conversation with her is one of the many conversations I have on a daily basis, but that one, because of her name, because of, you know, her elderliness and just the gratefulness that she had, will always sit with me, that one.
And Bonita, I know you've had some because we've spoken about it. Anything that stands out for you?
Well, my very first agreement, of course, and that we know the story where this is actually a lady from, I think it was Sweden, and she's in a horrible situation where, long story short, she's stranded in the UK. She wanted to get back to her country. We used the agreement to create that certainty and speed. But not only that, I walked the journey with her, and just as Louis said, you become that sounding board at the end of the day as well, where the agents might be too busy or they might just not get back to a stressed vendor or buyer. You become that middleman, and you can answer questions, or you can escalate something, or you can help where you can. That's where a lot of the, the vendors and buyers appreciate our position as well. That's where we go above and beyond. That for me, especially Louis, I resonate with that a lot, because that happens, if not on a daily basis, where you need to be the middleman.
I've got a question for you all, actually, and this is something that when I talk to estate agents that are looking to work with us, a lot of them pick out as a key element of what we do, because there's a misconception that Gazeal is a prop tech business, which it really isn't. You know, that we're technology. Well, we're not technology. We're humans, as Megan said. We're not. Well, we are AI, but we're actual intelligence rather than artificial. But I want to pick up on something, and that is, you know, that how important do you think it is that we are independent in this? That we are, you know, from your experiences picking up with sellers and buyers, is that often picked up that we're working for them, with them, as you've all referenced there, hand-holding, going on the journey, you know, taking them through it, 2 hours in conversation. Personally, I think it's brilliant. I don't care how long it takes to have a conversation with somebody. If it's the right conversation, take as long as you need. What do you all think? But how important is that independence, do you think?
I mean, for me, I think having that independence is incredibly important, because we are a different, you know, just a completely different element to the estate agents, to the solicitors, to anybody else involved. We act differently, we behave differently in my eyes. You know, I feel like we, not that nobody else does or agents don't, but from my personal experience, go above and beyond on a regular basis for anybody, you know, regardless of who they are or what position they're in, and, you know, be that support system for them. But also, you know, I find a lot of the time where agents introduce me as their colleague, you know, I work with Louis, you know, welcome to this is Gazeal, you know, Louis is one of our colleagues. He's going to give you a call and help him out. And for me, I like that, because, you know, I am working with them. I speak to them on a regular basis. I might not be in the office, but I'm there with them, you know, every step of the way to get these in place, and, you know, for after that period of time. And I mean, a lot of the agents that I've got now have been there since I started for 4 years. So as much as we are independent, and having that independence is vital for our success as a business and for us to do what we do, we are also the colleagues of the estate agents that work with us and part of the club. You know, we all work together and we all help each other and we support them as much as we possibly can. And I think having that as well is incredibly important.
Cool. Ladies, how about anything from you guys?
Well, for me, I think independence, it's all about being treated fairly. So the clients will always be treated fairly, but there's no bias, there's no favoritism with certain agents, whether they're selling a 100k property or 10 million, everybody gets the same service. And that, I think, is really important. Everybody deserves to be heard. Like you said, Lou and Bonita, you know, to have those conversations when you're on the phone for so long, sometimes people just want to be heard. And that's what we're there for. So I think being completely independent and acting on both on behalf of the seller and the buyer is really important, because it gives them a bit more of a personal service rather than acting on behalf of the agent. But equally, we have great relationships with the agent. So I think it's about balancing those plates and making sure everyone's happy, which is stressful sometimes.
Yeah.
It's worth it. It is worth it.
Yeah, definitely keeps you on your toes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, good.
Very
Benita,
first
anything you want to add?
The very first thing I hear is Relene saying, well, we are independent. So Relene in the legal department. That's the very first thing she says. And she rightfully reminds me of that. And yes, I feel we're always independent, and it's very important that we remain independent.
Yeah, well, we will. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I want to pick up on another thing that Louis mentioned earlier on. And again, from my own experiences in the early days of Gazeal, it was really important. It's quite easy to misunderstand that you think people are on the phone all the time with their estate agents or with their lawyers or whatever it might be in a transaction. But actually, in a world where communication is easier than it's ever been, we actually spend less time on the phone talking to each other. I mean, how nuts is that, right? So how do you find people when you get them on the phone when they're talking? How is that often received? Does that make it easier, or do people prefer to do this offline?
I mean, for me, I have quite a good mix. So a lot of the time I will lead with an informative email so that they have an understanding of what we're about to speak about on the phone. And I find that speeds the process up for their understanding. So, we started off with you'd call someone and then they'd ask for more information, or they wouldn't quite understand something. And it is a short agreement, there's not a lot to it, but at the same time, understanding everything that is important for them, that they need to understand to be able to make an informed decision about going ahead with it. You can't get all of it just off of a phone call. So I find that leading with an email, arranging a call and saying, have a read through this, come up with some questions before we speak to each other. Yep. And then anything that you want to discuss in more detail, we can talk about it over the phone, but they have that in writing backup. So I find a good mix of both is really important, but speaking to the people on the phone is, I would say, very important, because they then put a voice to a name on an email chain. Yep. You are a physical human being that they're speaking to. You have that element of trust with them, that you can, and just discuss, and you can talk through the concerns they have. What are the reasons that you're selling? Why are you coming to us in the first place? What is it about the security that appeals to you? Yeah. And how can we help? How can we amend it? How can we tighten it? How can we ensure that you're getting what you want out of this, so that you can sit down, put your feet up, and not worry that tomorrow morning you no longer have a house sale or your buyer has disappeared, So it's a really good mix, and weighing it up is, like Megan mentioned, about balancing the plates and, making sure that everything goes as smoothly as possible. But for my process was the way that I work, I make sure they have all of the information up front. We then discuss it based on the fact they've read it, so they can be as educated as possible for something, of a house sale, which is of massive magnitude to a lot of people.
Yeah, good. So generally, phone calls are good, right?
Yeah, to short it up, yeah.
Yeah, make it easy to understand. Would you guys echo that, or you anything different to?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, it's always easier to have the phone call and explain. And, sometimes it's just easier to have that human interaction. I keep touching on the humanity. I think it's so important, because you really can have so much of a more open conversation over the phone than on email. Sometimes emails can get mistranslated or what have you. I'm a strong believer in a follow-up. I love a follow-up. I love to summarize everything in an email. Sometimes it's great to put things in black and white, what you've just spoken about. But yeah, that's kind of the way I go about it. I do like speaking with people. I love people. I love hearing about their stories, and what they want to do and how we can help them. So yeah, I think I'm a phone call girl all the way, for sure. I never shut up.
I've learned from the base. I've literally learned from the base, Megan and Louis. I actually do exactly the same. It's just about connecting at the right time, because we're busy. We're busy. We've got lives to live. And it's connecting at the right time with the people, making that follow-up call, and sending that summary email. It's so important.
Yeah. I mean, it is, at the end of the day, like you said at the beginning, and this is just, exactly how it was for me. I didn't treat this as, and I still don't, as having a conversation, having a call or an email or whatever. This is someone's house move, right? It's one of the biggest things they'll ever do. Absolutely. And we know, and I know particularly because I've been in it for 30 odd years, that it's one of the most stressful things people go through. So there's a respect element I talk about a lot when people ask me. I respect what I do. I respect who I'm talking to. Back to Megan's point, doesn't matter if you got 10 million quid or you got, a £2 house. It doesn't matter to me. It's people, and everyone has a journey. Everyone has a story. Everyone has a reason that they're doing things. And actually that reason is the same. So respecting people and making sure that we can have a conversation in a world that doesn't like to speak to each other much anymore, it seems, is, I think, a very powerful tool. And one that I hope a lot of people, if anyone bothers watching this, that some people might pick that up and think, why did we stop doing that? I remember in a estate agency when I first started in the late 80s, it's all you had. The only means of communication was the post, snail mail, or picking up the phone. And everything was on the phone. We'd pick up the phone, we'd ring people. This is the days before mobiles, believe it or not. I'm that old. And you just had to keep going. You had to keep ringing people and keep trying them 4 or 5 times till you got through, and then when you did, make it count. And this is something that I talk about a lot with estate agents, because I believe that what an estate agent has with Gazeal is something worth listening to, something of value, something that people that they will interact with they won't ask about it because they don't believe it exists. So if you've got something like this that you actually know is going to help them, it's really valuable to tell people. And it's why we decided, and we still do all these years later, we don't charge estate agents, a lot of money. We don't actually have contracts with them, or they got to work with us for 2 years, whatever it might be. What we do insist on is that they embrace the concept of telling everybody about something really valuable and let the people decide what they want to do, right? That's the key thing. So what advice have you all got for any estate agents that's watching this that might have dipped their toe in with Gazeal, might be not doing any reservations with us? What advice have you got for those people?
Don't just dip your toe in, dive straight in. Straight in. What are you waiting for? It works, right? We're a great team. We build these relationships with agents. We're here to help them, not add to the workload. I think, it'll be silly of them not to at least, look into it and open themselves up to it and, be fully open to the to Gazeal and what we offer. I think you can't.
Sorry to interrupt. But why do you think they don't? Because we all know we've got a whole load of estate agency companies in Gazeal that came along and said, "Hey, this is great. We've got this problem. We want to have this solution for our clients," and then they do nothing.
Well, it would sort of tandem onto my point of don't be afraid. A lot of the time, the reason that I feel that agents don't do it is they're either afraid to have those conversations. There is a fee involved. So asking for more money is something that nobody wants to do, which we get. But you are adding value to, as you said, to someone's house move of such a large magnitude. Don't be afraid. You might not get it right the first time. You might not get it right the second time, but that's what we're here for. Yeah. We're there to support you. All you've got to do is tell them what you have available and let them make the choice. Don't make the choice for them, and don't be afraid to have those conversations and make a positive change, because everybody's going to get it wrong. We understand that. Everything always goes wrong at one point in time, but the more times you do it, the better you get at it, and then it will become second nature. A lot of my agents that I have never used to want to talk about it. You get 1 or 2 of them doing it, and then you get, in the office, someone's doing reservation agreements on a regular basis, and everybody else is losing out because that person is taking their lunch. So don't be afraid to make the positive change, have those conversations, because you're only going to get better at it. You can't get worse. If you don't do it, nobody else is going to, help you out or be there to support you.
What do you think about if they don't, because they're not doing it, right? So, no matter how many times we speak to them, they go, yeah, we're not doing it. I mean, to me, that's, what's the word that I can say on here without getting myself into trouble? It's a bit shit. Because actually, on their websites, we put our customer first. No, you don't. Why do people lie so much on their websites? Well, in fact, most of them don't even know what it says on their website. But actually, when they talk about putting the customer first, we look after that. And then they have something that they might not quite understand, but they know all they've got to do is say to somebody, would you like to secure your sale? Would you like to make sure this seller doesn't gazump you? And they can't even have that conversation. It's pathetic. Yet they're talking on a website and they're talking about we're the best thing since sliced bread. We've got the market share, all that sort of stuff. What do you say to those people?
I seem to think it's that with agents with, mindset like that, I think with Gazeal, it's not something they want, it's something they need. And like with us, right, when we want something, we'll go to the ends of the earth to get it. But when it's something we need, we tend to be a bit more apprehensive. So that's why I think it's important to sit down and look at what you actually need. If you are having fall throughs, what can you do to stop that? Well, Gazeal can help with that. If you do have problems with, with people showing certainty and commitment, there's something for that. I think sometimes there's a reluctance to accept that your business does need help. So I think there's an element of that as well. You know, it's we're fine, we're doing just fine on our own. But obviously, if the figures don't lie, then it's something to look into.
Bonita, anything to add?
When we reach out with why haven't you been doing any RAs, or do you need any training? That is us reaching out, asking you, what can we do to make this successful for you? How can we turn it around? We are going to be here for you. We'll hold your hand. What do you need from us? Tell us. We are here to assist you.
Imagine an estate agent who has got Gazeal, who doesn't do it, and they get a fall through, and then their client realizes that their agent had the solution and never told them about it.
This is an agent that in 5 to 10 years won't be in business anymore, in my eyes. Everybody else will have taken their lunch.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Jolly good. All right, guys. Well, let's bring it to a close there. I think we've covered enough. Thank you very much for your
I've
time.
got one question, which I think might be fun. So, what animal would Gazeal be? If Gazeal was an animal, what would it be?
It'll be Gazelle.
Yeah, everybody calls us that anyway.
We'll get called that anyway.
It does. Yeah, they do actually. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Or gazebo, one of the two.
I'd say an elephant. Very, very intelligent, big, very kind, thoughtful.
Elephants are quite slow, though. I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's a really good question. I'd say a Labrador.
Yeah. I think they're too nice.
Too nice. We're a little bit more cutthroat. Yeah.
No, we're not. We're not cutthroat. What's that mean?
But no, sorry. Brian's more cutthroat.
Yeah.
We're lovely.
That's harsh, but fair. What do you think, Bonita? What would you call us if we were an animal?
Well, I would say a Frenchie, but okay, I'm not going to say that.
What's a
French bulldog? No.
A bulldog, right?
Essentially, I think when I think of Gazeal, I do not think.
Oh no!
No, I'm joking. I'm not thinking of a Springbokie, which is a gazelle in South Africa. I actually think of a hawk or an eagle. That's my idea that I'm getting. Yeah.
Very majestic.
Yeah. I like the eagle. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I've gone for a lion, leading the pack, look after our own. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a really good, actually, now I think about it, that's quite a good analogy, isn't it? Something secure. A mongoose. No, true story. My grandfather used to have a pet mongoose, right? Because he lived in India, in Bangalore, and his mongoose would search the house for snakes every day. And before my grandfather ever went to bed, the mongoose would go into his room and double check for cobras and snakes so that his room was okay. And he'd go to bed, sleep sound with his mongoose in his bedroom.
Thoughts on making the mongoose the Gazeal?
That makes a lot of sense.
Brand, the mascot.
Yeah. Fearless, focused on protection, very loyal.
Hunt snakes.
But fierce, but good. But it's prepared to fight if needed. It needs to be to defend itself.
Yeah.
I like
defend
the mongoose.
Itself and everybody else.
Yeah, like the mongoose. Anyway, on that lovely zoo note, thank you, Megan, for that. That's a great question. Well, hang on, I've got one more. If we were a car, what car would we be?
A Willys Jeep, the old reliable.
Won the war, the Willys Jeep. Pretty much.
A Bentley.
Bentley?
Yeah.
What, focused on capitalism and overly expensive?
Just by the looks of it, so I'm just going to leave it at that.
It looks beautiful.
I'll go for a Range Rover.
I'm going to be a Range Rover. Okay.
I don't drive, so I can't exactly say a bus.
No.
Or a tram.
Well, it could be a bus. We pick people up and get them from A to B much more efficiently,
Yeah, but
right?
buses are unreliable and overwhelming, so we don't want that.
That's true, yeah. That's true. I'd going to be really boring and say a Volvo.
Okay.
Safety
Reliable.
first. Safety first. Very reliable. Won't let you down. Not overly expensive, but not too cheap. Requires some thought and a more refined taste. Not sure.
Oh, very nice. I feel like you've had that planned.
Yeah.
Well, I did have that plan. Yeah.
That felt rehearsed.
Do you work for Volvo? Is this you telling us that you're leaving us for Volvo?
No, I've got no shares in Volvo. I have no desire to ever work for Volvo. But
Disclaimer.
I don't like their new car. Electric cars all look like appliances. Look like someone's driving a fridge. It looks really
Well,
boring.
that's our Volvo sponsorship out the window then.
Yeah.
And any other cars.
Any other electric cars. Right, you lovely people. Thank you so much. I'm going to say goodbye. Say goodbye to everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.